now. All right. Good afternoon, world. Good afternoon, world. For the first time ever, we are on time.
With such a world record.
No, we set a world record. We're always on time, people. So, welcome to BantuTV, our
Mm.
weekly podcast that we try to, just talk about almost anything, any trending Zambian headline news. We tackle
Mhm.
it here. These are our opinions. And so if you're joining in for the first time, we have to put it out there.
Mhm.
We are absolutely biased towards the UPNB government. So our views are that biased, but we welcome,
Mm.
experts' opinion from all walks of life. It doesn't matter what political party you're coming from. So my name this evening is Kalinda Shachinda. I am right here in the Hoosier state of Indiana and the capital Indianapolis. That's where you catch me live and direct every Sunday. And let
Mhm.
me pass the baton to my
Mhm.
co-host over there. Take
Thank
over,
you.
Latan.
Thank you very much, Bakalinda. It's once again a good week and good to be broadcasting live. My name is Chanda Chilufia, and I'm broadcasting live from Ontario, Canada. We welcome everybody that's joining us today from wherever you are in the world, and depending your time, whether it's in the evening, morning, afternoon. Thank you very much for taking your time out of your busy schedule to discuss and have a healthy debate on one or two topics that's been trending for the past 1 week. Yeah, thank you.
Did you say one or two topics?
Several. Everything has been trending. There's been a lot of topics trending, but
Oh yeah,
who knows how many we can tackle today?
exactly. My head
Uh,
is
that's
buzzing.
so
My
much.
head is buzzing. But I mean, there's no easy way to start
Mm,
the show. Then we don't want
mm,
to start with the former president, but we just have to because he got the shell
uh,
of
uh,
uh, of viral moments, and so
mhm.
why not start with Vashta Sealand?
Well, we
Vashta,
haven't introduced we got somebody here, but Danny, we haven't introduced, let him
yeah,
introduce himself.
fine. Mr. Johnny, please come in and to please
Oh,
welcome to the podcast. Introduce yourself. Show us your visuals. At least, which is this character? But I don't want to go through that character I'm seeing on your profile.
oh,
But introduce yourself,
oh,
where you are
this
joining us
character.
from.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
my name is Danny. I'm also here in Ontario, Canada.
Nice.
Um,
Mm.
Nice.
Canada in the building. Canada is
Nice.
trending today. That's what we're talking about.
Uh,
So,
that character you see there. I'm a veterinarian, so that's a vet doctor right there with a little dog. Yeah.
all right.
what is it?
That one is just a normal light when you're doing some certain surgeries like
Ah,
eye surgeries where
Oh,
things are very small and you just like a miner, you wear a little light there to see properly.
ah, okay.
oh,
But yeah, so
great.
are you in Toronto too, Wachanda? Are you in
No, no,
Toronto?
I'm in St. Catharines.
All right, I live in Milton.
Milton. Ah, nice.
Yeah,
Yes.
so we're almost neighbors here. Okay.
Yeah, it's not that far.
So you see, when you say,
We'll connect. We'll connect after this, after the
Yeah,
show.
yeah, sure.
so when
Yeah.
you say St. Catharines, you know what that
Mhm.
texts me. There's
No.
there's a little novel that I used to read. It
Mhm.
was set in St. Catharines, I think,
Uh-huh.
called Anne of Greenable. That's my favorite
Uh-huh.
ever book ever that I ever read out of Canada. But that's a
Oh, yeah.
topic, yeah, for another day.
For another day. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's even a TV show, that I used to watch from Zambia back in the day, Anne of
Mhm.
Green Apples. I loved it. But
Mm.
anyway, We are digressing as usual, like we always do on Sundays, because we do like to
Mhm.
live. Sometimes we go back to the past. So let's start with Vashita Stila,
Mm.
Vachandawis. I
Yeah.
mean, and there are so
Mm.
many angles to Vashita Stila this past week. So
Yes.
um, he, for the first time ever, he did that interview,
Mm.
and he just went viral because
Mm. Mm.
he touched on an aspect that a lot of
Mm.
Zambians are very passionate about,
Mm. Mm.
where he reviewed that he was short of saying, look, if you vote me back here, you
Mhm.
all who are thinking free education, that's
Mm.
it's off the table when we come
Mhm.
in
Mm. Mm.
as United Quacha Alliance.
Yes.
Um, and a lot of
That
Zambians
name
reacted.
Metila.
They did not take
Mm.
it kindly
Mm.
to his views on that.
Mm. Mm.
What did you? I think before we come to Adan, what did you make of Bashita Silas? First of all, this is
Yeah.
a man who never held any interviews
Mhm.
whatsoever when he was president for 7 years. So
Mhm.
suddenly he finds himself in the opposition. He thinks that it's time to go, and
Mhm.
hold these interviews, and then just, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know a better way to put it, but he just jacked his entire, interview. What's your take?
Yeah. Well, my take on this one is yes, he said something that's out of this world, which is not a surprise anyway for most of us because we know Valungu. He doesn't do interviews, and the reason he doesn't do interviews is because of this. He always says something wrong or something outlandish, without really. I think sometimes he speaks without really thinking. You know, even if you have an opponent, even if he hates HH, it does not mean that he has to oppose each and every progressive idea or progressive thing that the UPND is doing. So now he shot himself in the foot by, because to him, because people are happy about free education, and there's no parent in the country right now about done that because their kids are going to school. So now him himself, because he doesn't like when people are praising HH, he wants to, belittle the program itself, not knowing that it's going to backfire on him. So
Hmm.
for him to come out the way he came out saying, "Oh no, if the quality is poor, abana balekala panshi." But look, abana bali ma streets. Okay, it's better one I am crowded class than being on the street doing wrong things. So these are the things they fairly link and Nama street kids, they start, mushrooming from all corners of Lusaka. It's because they've got nothing to do. They're not going in school. I mean, if somebody's going to school, it keeps their mind busy and it keeps their mind sharp, and they're able to make friends and look forward for the next day to go back to school. So school is
Hmm.
free.
Hmm.
The parents, the money that they were spending on the education, they're spending it somewhere else, which is a good thing. So Valungu there, he made a blunder. Then he comes again, try to correct things, to say, no, I was talking about the quality of education. Well, the quality of education when you were the president is the same quality of education that is there now. So what does it mean? Was the quality of education better when he was in power
Hmm.
and now it's not good? I mean, what makes it? Where is he measuring all that stuff? Huh? What did he do in the education system so that the children have quality education that the president is not doing now? Explain further, sir. We don't understand you. So to me, just knowing that the way he is and the way he comes out, he usually he doesn't really explain himself properly. That's why, like I was saying, like, look, if they had to put one on one, they sit on the table on a debate table with the president HH. I don't think he would be able to debate with him because his ideas are way off, just like the whole patriotic front is. they, instead of thinking forward, they're always thinking backwards. How in the world would you want to remove free education? You remove free education, you start charging them, and then what? Is it the quality education is going to improve because now people are paying? I don't know. Help me understand,
Well,
but then.
Yeah. Yeah, what you've said, I agree with what you've said. But you have to understand that this is a man
Mm,
who, first of all, he has no party to lead. Okay. He's in a dilemma. I don't know what to do. How does he get the party? I mean, how does he go back to PF when the
mm,
PF has been taken away from him? And now he's busy joining UCA, trying to be a leader in UCA. But at the same time, people know that he can't lead UCA. He's not a leader. So he's trying to show the UCA group that he can lead. At the same time, I mean, he can lead them. But the UCA people, they know that they will not they will not actually give him that opportunity to lead them. If anything, they'll put Membe. But Membe is also careful about that. That's why he doesn't want to associate with Lungu. So this is a man who is just trying to make himself look relevant, and he ends up making this type of mistakes. So to me, he's trying to show the group that is a leader. But look, the more he tries to show Yuka group that is a leader and he should lead them and they should support him, um, the more mistakes he makes. So that's the way I look at it. He's trying to get to just to look
mm,
relevant in the group.
mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm, mm. Yeah,
mm,
that's
yeah,
true.
I mean, gentlemen, I mean, you just hit, everything on its head, really. Yeah, I mean, just let's take a look at the composition of Ukan, who is leading,
Mm,
the charge there. I mean, first off, I don't understand why Harry Cullen, I mean, this is the first man in history in Zambia who resigned, studying, he couldn't work with Mr. Edgar
mm,
Chagwalungu
mm,
because of corruption. He just couldn't, stomach that. And then he left the government. Now, today, 5, 6 years down the road,
mm,
to be part of that grouping. And then, how many members of parliament does Mr. Harry Calabar has? I mean, I have issues with that. How
mm,
many councillors?
mm,
He got wound, hounded out of the other, party he had formed
mm.
with
The
that
DP.
what
DP.
was
I
it
think it
called?
was Democratic Party, I think. Yes.
Yeah, now which is being led by Madam Judith Kavemba.
Yes.
Remember
Mm,
that?
yes.
And then we come to Savoy Imboila.
Mm,
Where how many? I mean, again, how many councillors? How many members
mm,
of parliament
mm,
does Savoy party have?
mm, mm, mm.
Absolutely nobody.
Nothing.
And
Nobody.
then the young man that I really was I was giving him 10, 20 years, to mature, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't look like. I mean, he's also lost his way. That young man, what's his name? Silabwe,
Oh,
with his
Golden
party.
Party.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Golden Party. I mean,
Golden Party.
I had hope in
Mm,
that young man. But
mm,
look at him. Also, how many councillors and members of
mm.
parliament does he have?
Yeah.
Absolutely nobody. And then
Mm,
let's just go to 2021. How
mm,
many votes did all those people get altogether? Barely 30,000, if add them
mm,
all together. Because some of them were
mm.
coming up with zeros
Zero, yeah.
in some
So that's why even about
constituencies.
Gamwita was saying that combine all of them, I got more votes than all of them combined. You can imagine, and
Correct.
that's just one person, but Cornelius Mwitwa, you know.
Absolutely. So,
So,
all of that. And
mm,
now they're coming up with all these. Oh, by
mm,
the way, we forgot something. They
what?
finally did release some of the things that they hope to work through,
Oh,
which reminded me of
mm,
the more money in the pocket slogan. They said
mm,
they're going to create 3 million um, job opportunities of
mm,
businesses for Zambians. Once they come into power. Haven't we heard that script before? Maybe
oh,
before I even go there, let me
mm,
bring in
mm,
somebody who has been helping me also like the background.
Mm-hmm.
With when I ask for documentation for certain things, you would, help me out. So let
Mm-hmm.
me bring in the gentleman from South Africa, Mr. Pasimo Hamugome. Welcome to the podcast, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're
All
welcome.
right.
Welcome.
You're welcome.
Sure.
So maybe because this is the first time you're joining us here, could you
Mm-hmm.
just give our viewers a little background about yourself?
What background do you want? Right.
I
I'm
have your
Pasmo
name.
Hamokoma. And I'm
Uh-huh.
Pasmo Hamokoma. I was born in Mapanza, Choma,
Trauma.
and
You see
went
that?
to.
My people, my channel.
Eh?
My people. Now you see what I say from
Eh.
Guala village. There he is, right there.
Right. And
All right.
I went to St. Mark's Secondary School,
Mark there.
and then I went to the mines as a staff learner in 1974.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to the University of Zambia
Mm-hmm.
6 months later
Mm-hmm.
and studied mathematics
Mm-hmm.
and completed in 78
Mm-hmm.
and went to join the mining industry
Mm-hmm.
in the manpower planning
Mm-hmm.
and stayed. Well, yeah, then I went to do my master's in Dublin, 1980, and then again 86, 87, I got a Fulbright, Hubert Humphrey scholarship in the States, and then
Mhm.
came back with the mining industry and stayed there until 1995. I came in South Africa. I was in consulting, then went back to Zambia in 2003 as Vice President Human Resources for KCM. And after 3 years, I went to Mopani as Chief Services Officer. And back in South Africa in 2010 in consulting, and here I am.
Nice. Wow.
We
So we got the
appreciate you.
right
We
man
got the
today for
right
the
man.
topics that we have
Yes.
at hand today. We
No,
got the right man.
He's got the in and out. So we'd like to hear more about that.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely. So we were talking right now. We're talking Mr. Edgar Chagwalungu's revelation that they will review the free education policy once elected into government. What are what's your opinion on that, Mr. Hamilton?
I mean, you see, it's misguided to try and review it. That yes, it might have impacted in terms of quality, but that doesn't mean you throw it with the bathwater. You don't.
Mm,
What the need is, what is it that needs to be done
mhm,
to ensure that quality education is offered?
mm,
Yes, they're
Correct.
dealing with infrastructure in terms of school places,
mhm,
Hmm.
but I think they need to up in terms of teacher training
mm,
Hmm.
so that they have enough teachers to cover.
mm,
And it's not sort of discarding with it, but
mm,
really to
Hmm.
make sure that it works, that
mm,
what is not there
mhm,
is that the
Hmm.
number of teachers are not there. But then
Hmm.
if you go back, which I think we try not to do, we have very short memories
Hmm.
that we grappled with a similar kind of situation, I think 66, 67, when we
Hmm.
had to
For
change the
time, we
education
can't
system.
remember. we
No,
we
but
were not there.
Absolutely. We are not here, but we appreciate the history.
no, but I mean, the literature
It's
is there.
important. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
the literature is there
Uh,
that because we didn't have skilled Zambians into place,
mm,
Hmm.
we changed the education system. And that's the
Hmm.
time we stopped doing standard 6 and went into grade
Hmm.
7. And we stopped doing Form 6 and went into Form 5. And we shortened and created more teacher training colleges such that we had the teachers being able to come into the system so that they could, there's that, the increased intake. Right? And that's the time you had the World Bank in terms of all the new schools in every district, as it were the secondary schools, right? But that had to be done, right? But you worked on having the infrastructure, which the World Bank did, and then you had the teacher training colleges going up such that you had the teachers and they were able to take up the intake. And that's how we set up with ZIT, the Zambia Institute of Technology, so that you had the skills that were required in the mining industry because it was all expatriate. Right? So you had the plumbers, you had the fitters, you had the electricians, and everybody else coming into there. And we lost the drift because we turned ZIT into a university college, into a university.
Okay.
And what suffers is that the technician level, right, is not given the same kind of impetus in a university as you would in a technical college. So what has happened with the setting up of Cowbelt University, we have created a vacuum in terms of skills. And at the same time now you're saying our production of copper is going to go up wherever. You need more skilled personnel within the mining industry, not university graduates, but the technicians, the hands-on. But yeah, so it's not really coming in and doing away with that education system, but to improve such that you're able to provide what is required by the industry.
Okay. Yeah. So
Great.
just on that one, on that one, in terms of the quality itself. So, because he didn't explain like the way you have explained it. Okay, he didn't explain to us what he meant by quality. Yeah. So, I mean, was
No,
it like you're saying one?
the quality, I mean, he did to some extent. I mean, he joked about it and say you're having a 100 whatever student to a teacher, which I don't know. I mean, I haven't got the facts, but all I'm saying is, yes, by allowing more people to come into education space that couldn't get into there, yes, the numbers have gone up. But I've also known that, like I went back to the village not so long ago. Yes, there are new education school classrooms that have been built in the village schools. So yes, the capacity in terms
Even
of
more teachers were employed just last year. There was a huge number. There was a huge number that was employed, which has never happened in the history of Zambia. So we're going there. We're going there.
No, careful how you say there were more teachers, right?
Well,
That the
compared to
population,
the last 10 years.
No, well, in terms of last 10 years, yes. But again, like I said, people should be able to learn in terms of what the facts are, right? That in a population of 3 million, right, 10,000 or 1,000 teachers is the same as 3,000 or 30,000, right? When your population is 18, it's about 15,000. So,
well, but it's better than not recruiting at all.
No, I mean, not recruiting, that's fine. But what we're saying is, let's not, sort of, that the numbers that have been recruited, right, have to be in a context. Right? So, I mean, it's not just saying so many thousands have been recruited. That's not the issue for those of us that claim. that were professionals.
I get you. But we all know that
I
there's
mean,
no
but
way
if
the
it's a
government to
political speech,
employ a
no,
huge amount at once.
a
Like,
political speech, I'll take, right?
mhm.
But for people that say they understand these things, take a little bit. I did mathematics, right? And I know how to lie with numbers. Okay. So yes, let's be careful in terms of what we say about numbers. Yes, there has been, right? A lot has been done, right? But a lot more could be done.
A lot more, yes, could be done. Yes, we agree. We agree on that one. A lot more could be done. I mean, I don't think the government, this was a one-off thing. Like, they were not going to recruit again. I think it should be a continuous process.
They did recruit. I think there's some recruitment that has happened or is happening. But I mean, so that space is going on, right? But what we're saying is that we shouldn't, if we're really kind of serious on it, that we should not be sitting that we've arrived. We haven't.
No.
Yeah, there's absolutely no work there.
Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that. But what we're saying is at least something is being done.
Yeah,
as opposed to what was happening in the last 10 years. So at least a little bit, slowly but surely. And it's impossible for the whole government to give us the numbers that I want everybody to be recruited at once. But how possible is that?
No, you can't. You haven't got the capacity. What are you going to do with it? Right? So yes, I mean, in terms of whatever, what the government has done, right, is what is expected of them to do. Okay. And
but in short, we are saying is, they are taking the right steps in the right direction to get where we need to be.
Yes.
Agreed.
All right then. Now let's move on. I just wanted to leave that. I like to have the debates, or healthy debates. That's what we're about. So let's move on. And as Mr. Johnny had, I know he's been too quiet there. He had a thing or two to say before we move the debate to the next topic.
No, actually, the two gentlemen have covered what I wanted to say. Yes. We don't just have to look at the number of 4,000, 30,000 teachers. We also have to look at the population they're saving. So yes, we have to do a bit of ratios here. But it's a right step in the right direction. But for Lungu to come and say we'll revisit this, to me, that statement meant it's not the right. We're not doing the right thing as a government. So that's why I didn't take that comment well, because revisiting something means, to me, it means that you are doing something wrong. Okay. If he had said we're going to enhance what you guys are doing, we're going to look to make sure that the quality is improved, that's a good statement. But to say, he was even laughing, said, hey, look at this 150 watt. When we come in power, we will make sure this is the first thing we're going to revisit. That means he's going to dismantle he's not going to follow what we are doing right now. So that's the way I took it myself.
No, but I mean, you see, what we say, that's political speech. Huh? And that's what he presented before. And the other guy presented something else. And the other guy has gone ahead in terms of what he said he was going to do. Right? And now he has to, again, if he's standing or whatever, has to go and show the people that, yes, you people that went to school, had free education, forget about it. And then ask them to vote for him and says, come on, I'll get you out of school. That's a political speech.
But you see, Mr. Hamahoma, you cannot take Mr. Lugo's words lightly, because let's just remember when he came. Go ahead.
I'm not saying I'm taking it lightly. What I'm saying is that what he's saying is exactly what he said before. The only difference is that the other person has been given an opportunity to do what he said he was going to do. Right?
You are absolutely right. And I just wanted to also just chime in a little bit and just remind our viewers that we cannot take Mr. Lungu's political statements lightly, because let's just remember that when he came on the political scene in Zambia, we all heard those wonderful words that he said, I have no vision. And now let's see, where has that vision taken us? He said it. So, yes, it's a political statement. We agree on that. However, we cannot take his political statement as just mere
No,
rhetoric, because
no, but the, the thing is that let the politicians, okay, that when he said he had no vision, right?
Mhm.
That if you really go into all the speeches that the other people did, none
Uh-huh.
of them took Mr. Lungu, right? That you have no vision.
And that is, drunk on that Kool-Aid.
No,
And
no,
look
but
what we had for 7 years.
I mean, he said that, but the Zambians, that the other people on the political divide didn't take and says, this is what he said, right? Okay. So,
All right. But we
okay.
appreciate the sentence that came out full force to dismantle his political statements. Anyway,
And
let's move on. Let's
Let's
move
move
on to
on.
the next
let's face
topic.
it.
Uh, yeah, let's face it, that's what we're here to talk about. And so the next topic is oh my goodness. I wish I could play some music and dance right now, because
Mm.
sometimes I burst into, I could play some, like, look here, I can play some Chingande right now and start dancing. Nijalibobo, nijalibobo. Somebody was singing sausage, sausage, sausage. Now,
Oh.
here is what happened. The former commissioner of police, Miss Charity Katanga,
Mm.
finally, got
Mm.
convicted this past week for abuse of office and obtaining
Mm.
properties and assets under dubious means.
Mm.
And she was sent to simple imprisonment, which I have issues with,
Mm.
for 3 years. Remember
Mm.
last year when we said that this year UPND have to come strong and full force on these corrupt, charges that are being tried before the courts of law. And to me, really, that was a big win. And of course, she's appealing. But what what did you feel when you read the story? And the story broke. Was that Tuesday or Monday that finally Miss Katanga was going to face the music?
Okay. Me, what I thought was, I think it was good. I mean, I had a good feel. I mean, she's one of those commanders. She was a deputy commander, right?
Yes, Deputy
That
Commissioner of
was
Police.
brutal. She was a very brutal, and she really commanded that force with that vigor. I don't know how much. Anyway, it shows on why she's even been arrested. It's because all those gifts, we all know where they came from, and that's why she had all that courage to execute orders coming from the powers that be at that time. You saw how people were being beaten, and the way she was talking, you know, going breaking, and they were doing all sorts of things that very unprofessional, that a police that's supposed to be a service should not do. You know, a lot of people died during the time that she was on that seat, and a lot of Zambians were scared. A lot of people were being, harassed. So, and she was singing sausage, sausage. Yeah, yes, but look, she'll be singing that in the cells now, which is good. At least you start reflecting, because there's no way. I was thinking to myself, how much do they earn for her to have all those kind of buses, to be able to have access or buy those number of buses? How much does a police deputy police, how much do they earn per year? Does anybody know?
She couldn't even convince the judge.
How much do they
Because,
earn per year? Like, there's no way,
well,
even people that earn a lot of money, there's no way you can afford to buy all the. How many were there? How many? That was
I think she
Hyderabad.
started
Ten.
with
10.
two for $250 million each, I think, because we're
Yeah,
those
10 buses.
luxurious. Yeah, yeah, 10 buses. There you go.
So
So
now,
amounting almost to $1 million.
so how much does she earn for her to afford that? That's
I
the
think,
big question.
yeah,
She
Not much.
couldn't even convince the judge
they
because she
don't, they
said
don't,
her uncle, gave her a line of
Of
credit.
of course.
And then when they asked her in court to say, show
Uh,
us, there was no
uh,
documentation, there was no paperwork.
what
Then
does the
she came
uncle do?
around and, yeah, it was a businessman. And then she came, oh no, I got bonuses. And even with those bonuses from the police, they couldn't add up. And the judge had no option but to convict her. So on that note, Mr. Danny, your comments on Miss
uh,
Katanga's conviction this week.
I was happy to see that she was convicted. On the other hand, I was a little bit sad. I think the 3 years was a little bit too. To me, she should have gotten more, a little bit more, 5 years minimum, a little bit, so that we
You
send,
and I agree on
yeah,
that. Yes.
so that we send the right signal to people that manage our resources. Um, the origin of those buses is known. The government had bought those buses for the youth projects. I still remember.
Mm,
And then when the buses arrived in the country, the PF government decided to share those buses amongst themselves. So that case is already known by SCC. And I think one of the cadres got one bus. I think Lusaka province chairman for PF at one time. He,
mm,
Hmm.
he also got two buses and all that. So the
mm.
SCC knows the origin of those buses. They were
Those
ordered.
bastards.
Yes,
Mm,
and they know the people that got them and shared them amongst themselves. So in my view, I wanted them to follow each and every case and prosecute those, but just to prosecute one of the people that got those 50 buses, which were meant for youths, I think it's a little bit. Uh, I don't want to use the word unfair. They're not doing their due diligence. They should
mm.
follow them up and say those buses were 50. We know there were 50 of them in total. So they
So
have
where
just
are the rest?
yes, they know. They know where those others are. So I hope they're gonna follow up and recover the rest of the buses because the total number of 50 was ordered by the Zambian government at that time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Mr. Hamogoma, can you comment on the conviction on corruption?
I mean, sort of the judiciary deal with the facts that are presented before them. And
Hmm.
I mean, the facts were lacking. I mean, I don't have the luxury of having that there are 50 buses and trying to account for them. So I would hope that somebody who is doing the investigations have done that. And that if the people that have got information is basically to get back and says, hey, only 10 have been accounted for. There are 40, and here, this is where they are. So I don't have information, but those of us that have, right? That's the only way that you actually bring justice to prevail, is to be able to take this matter into ACC or whoever it is and give them the facts, right? And if they don't, then we can cry foul. But basically, I think the responsibility is really with the citizens who have those kind of facts. But I think it's good in the way that I mean if you followed, yes, you could have seen the gaps, but that those that are wanting,
Mm,
and I mean one that people have to be careful in terms of these appeals
Hmm.
is that you'd end up with Katele Karumba, if you recall,
mm,
Yes.
that their conviction was many years back. But because they were on appeals and appeals, they only got justice done in 2022 when they're old. And
mm,
it's not the 2 years saving it when you're old.
mm,
Really, I think cut your losses. That would be my advice.
Mm.
And
Right.
Quick
Yeah,
while you're ahead.
well, I think also about that gender discipline. And remember, there's this law now that was, that was signed by the president this past year that they want to quickly get these corruption charges, concluded within 6 months. I'm sure even with the appeals, I'd
No.
like to say,
Yeah.
that's where they're going to go with it. That's why we are seeing all
Yeah.
these convictions and cases are being tried so quickly.
Now, since
So
let me just ask a big man a question. Since you are the numbers man, let's say I earn $50,000 a year. Can I be able to afford those kind of? But I know obviously they don't earn that kind of money
no,
like
no, no,
that.
no. You see, that's where
Mm.
the problem that we have
Mm.
is a lifestyle audit,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which you'll be able to say, this is the income that you got,
Mm-hmm.
and these are the assets that you have.
Mm.
And one of the things that we don't do,
Mm-hmm.
if I have that kind of money, how much tax have I paid on it?
Mm. Mm.
And that trail is the one that betrays you
Mm-hmm.
for the lack of it.
Mm.
Yeah. So
I think that's what I mean, that's what the anti-corruption actually are doing, and the drug enforcement is something else because we're coming to that in a little bit. But that's what they're doing. I mean, Ms. Katanga, when she was questioned at the anti-corruption, I mean, 2 3 years ago, just after after the elections of 2021. She was clearly asked, like, look, you earn 20,000 kwacha, a month or 18. In her case, how did you afford to get this passive? And well, she dilly dallied, and and then they told her, look, your income doesn't match your wealth.
yep.
But then she was like, well, no, 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 you don't know what you're talking about. So in the end, it ended up, they ended up going to court because other people, when they were brought into the ACC for questioning, those other people just gave up their properties. And that we have, very, very, very popular cases that we are all aware about. Or if you have not, let me just refresh your mind. Uh, Mr. Tasila's Lungu's lawyer, child, she gave up her property because she couldn't when she was questioned at the ACC. Let's remember that case. And we have all other people that, just gave up. They forfeited. Uh, and the one famous one, Faith Musonda,
Mm.
she gave up that 65 million because when she was questioned where her source of that 65 million came from, she couldn't account for it. So in the end, she ended up signing off the money and gave it to the state. So there are several prominent people that have given up properties, but some of them they gave up maybe half of it, and the half of it they hide. Now, according to the
That,
forfeiture, our
that,
law is that
that doesn't hold.
if you hide and then they
Doesn't hold.
discover otherwise, they'll come after you.
Mhm.
And this is the reason why Faith Musonda is even, was rearrested because she didn't give up her all, wealth that, that we're asking for. So yeah, so we have so many cases. I'm looking forward to the cases of Mr. Kapiongo to
No,
conclude this
Campion.
year. I'm looking forward to the cases of Chichotela to conclude this year. I am looking forward to the cases of the one and only bulldozer, um, Lusambo, who came out and said his wife's perfume actually can pay rentals on a public forum. So I would like to see
Not
how
rentals, lentils.
okay, lentils. So I'd like to see that case, all those cases taken care of. And we didn't give Bajani time to talk. Was it? Did we give Bajani time to talk? Oh my
I'm all
goodness,
right.
I can't remember.
I'm okay. I'm just listening, and most of
Mm.
the points I want to raise, actually, you are raising them. So you are
Mhm.
reading my mind in a way. But
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good.
Uh, that's perfect. All right.
Mhm.
Moving on along. Let's move it. Let's
Mhm.
move it. Let's move the trajectory. So, another trending piece of news that we got out of Zambia this week, which I found fascinating,
Mhm.
is the arrest of Mr. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this name again.
Mhm.
Mr. Edgar Chagwalumbu's, personal detail and
Mhm.
driver of drug trafficking in the Eastern Province by drug enforcement commission.
Mhm.
I mean, how? The question is, I mean, how bad can it be for Mr.
Yeah.
Lungu? Really?
Economy
Uh,
na issue pakula dringa ma drugs no.
yeah,
Mr. Vale mupela ko.
Patricia. Mr. Daniels, you want to come in
Mm.
and
Mm.
lead the chat here? How bad can it get?
Um, I followed that one, and to me,
Mm.
I know that I know that Mr. Lungu is having some problems, but I think he had nothing to do with that. Personally, I think that was just his driver's way of making money. Because I know the source of his money has stopped, so he has to find ways to keep his lifestyle, because those guys were living large. Okay, they were living large in those days. So I think he's just trying to keep his lifestyle the same, and the only way to do it is to do that type of stuff. Having said that, um, Machanda can agree with me as well. As Zambians, I think we have to revisit this notion that marijuana plant is a bad plant. It's actually very, very useful in so many ways, medicinal wise. So I think we have to revisit this, and the country itself can actually gain a lot of foreign exchange from export of marijuana to pharmaceutical companies in countries like Canada here, where it's legal now for medicinal purposes and actually recreation as well. So
Mm.
we don't have to put this curtain to say marijuana is a bad thing. Marijuana, actually, it can be a source of income for a country if we just regulate it the way it's produced, and the customers are there all over the world. We can be exporting, and that can be another source of income for our country. So let's not continue being blindfolded by the people that could not grow marijuana, because them they can't grow. The developed countries could not grow marijuana. That's our plant. It's a tropical plant, and we should utilize that to earn income for the country.
Huge. I actually agree. The marijuana cannabis business here in Canada is actually huge. It's legalized. I mean, people take it for recreational purposes, medicinal purposes, and uh, there's so many like cannabis stores all across wherever you are, and you can easily access it legally, and there's nobody who's going to come and arrest you. Um, but if you're just doing it for that, but if you start doing it like sort of like it becomes illegally, trying to sell it, then it's a problem with the law. But if it's through an official company, then that's okay. You can buy, distribute, and stuff like that. And like he's saying, I mean, it's we can tap into that part of the business. We've got the soil. It easily grows. You don't even need to do much to it. And trust me, believe it or not, it will actually contribute huge to Zambia's GDP. It may sound because for all these years in our mind it's been drilled that look, this is something illegal. So even if right now it's something that we can help the Zambia's economy to, reach to certain levels, cushion up while the mines are really trying to come up, because that's where we get most of our GDP. Why don't we bring in an extra industry, which is the cannabis business? While we're still struggling with the farming, it can cushion up, and you see that balance where if the farming, because we got drought now, or the mining industry is trying to figure itself out, we can use that industry, to boost, Zambia's GDP, because all we'll be doing is exporting, and there's a huge demand, like he said. There's a huge demand. Even just here, if you say strike a deal with a country like Canada, trust me, you see how much billions and dollars that Zambia is going to make out of it. Just one simple plant. It might sound strange. It may not land well to other people's ears because in our minds we've always known that it's illegal. But we're now moving in the 21st century. I think we need to start moving with the way the world is moving. Move with the world, and that's it. And let's throw in everything we can.
Yeah.
Oh, right now, I wish like I should get a violin and just play the violin. Okay, now that's just me. Mr. Hamilton, your comments on the recent arrest of Mr. Lungu's driver and personal detail in Eastern Province?
The law is the law as it is. And if you break it, you break it. And the law takes its course. As to whether marijuana is profitable or not, that's not the law at the moment. That's a different debate that we should have. And I think there's some things that have been done, but like I say, I'm not competent in that kind of area. And but all I know, what I'm saying is, what the law is at the moment is that if you're found in possession, then you're found in possession, period. And you just have to answer to that. As to whether marijuana is good medicinally or not, I don't think that's the issue at the moment. That's a different debate, which we need to be able to take to ensure that it's legalized. But before it is, it isn't.
Yes. Agreed, 100%, 100%. I think, yeah, I forgot to mention that's a topic of another day, definitely. Not at this point. Yeah, not at this point. I mean, yeah, but we just had to mention it a little bit. But yes,
Yeah, I mean,
we follow what the law is right now.
But basically, what you need to do is to change the law to be able to accommodate, to to make it legal to be able to produce and whatever. That's a different kind of thing. But as of now, it's not right.
All right.
And it's very simple. It isn't.
Correct.
And
Correct.
you go and answer, and we
You
hope
see,
the judges will take it up.
Yes. I mean, as for me, I've just been reminded here that there's something that I haven't done this whole time I was discussing. So I have to mention my uncle from my mother's village in Lugwalo is wondering. He always taught me, he said, you know them by the people they surround themselves. And what do I mean by that? So Mr. Longo, and I always have a political mind to anything. So here is Mr. Longo. How he found that driver, hired him. Are we saying Mr. Longo is not paying that driver for him to resort to those, drug trafficking? Now, is this the kind of man that once we push him on the ballot, as Zambia going to go out there and vote once again, knowing the things and the people he is surrounded with that brought us to where we are? I guess that will be my political question or my political mind, as I was taught by my uncle from Ugwalo village. Gualo, yes.
Look, Guaro means the letter, eh?
Yes.
I'm Lozi, but I know a lot of Tonga.
Oh, Mwizitwani. That's the only Lozi.
Anyway.
Hey, yes.
This driver is Normally, I think the VIP drivers are employed by the government. I don't know about Lungu's drivers in particular, but I think they are assigned to the leader by the government, the cabinet office. So I
Well,
think,
he's lots of benefits now.
yeah. So I think it wasn't really like Lungu picked him. Of course, he knew him. They were, he was. If you're a personal driver, you do tend to know your boss. But I think what has happened with him, he has lost the benefits after Lungu came back, probably in politics, and now the paycheck is no longer coming, and so he has to find a way of sustaining himself in a way.
Or does it affect him as well?
Oh yes, yeah.
Also, even him, like, so when Lungu decided to come back, even him, he loses that.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because it's part of
No,
Lungu's.
No. If they're government employees, which they should be, then they go back to redeployed within the government service.
Okay.
But
I mean, those that
Now,
were
this one seems to have been a political, just and a political appointee. I don't think he was employed by the government.
If you are employed to serve and you are under the one who pays you is the government, then they just redeploy you.
Okay.
Okay. So, which means he wasn't redeployed, or maybe what Daniel was saying, because he's used to that.
One good example is Emmanuel Mamba. Emmanuel Mamba was working for Chiluba. When Chiluba died, he was redeployed back into the civil service.
Okay.
And that's how he ended up serving as High Commissioner.
But I think maybe he doesn't have access to the kind of money that he used to get, because obviously he was being given those extra. My extras to you know how Lungu was. He was generous in giving out dollars.
Yes.
So tumasaka tulia twachita shrink, and then namasle queen ya foolish. You can't maintain their homes. You've got 8 slave queens all over the country. You can't. They want money for rent. Now you're no longer paying them. So
yeah, it's a lifestyle that they're not ready to give up. And so to sustain
shouldn't they have known? But shouldn't they have known that if the person you're serving loses power, or they do other things that they're not supposed to do, that the benefits that they're currently getting will no longer be the same after everything is said and done. Shouldn't they have known? Shouldn't they have saved for a rainy day? Again,
you never know.
I am picking on my uncle from the Gualo village.
No, you see, the behavior, the individual behaviors really would not be, but that the ones that work and serve in the office of the president or the former president are civil servants, right? They do not, they're not a personal property of the president. And therefore, in terms of what's happening, the other person goes and you move on. The people that were working around Manawasa when he died, and they couldn't fit with Rupia Banda, they went back into civil service. The system was able to take care of them. So there isn't anything really in terms of that because this guy has left and whatever, they are not impacted. But the extracurricular activities are not taken care of by the government. So yes, it's the extracurricular activities that you need somebody to be able to check. But on the surface, there's nothing that one can do. But if you are able to dig deeper, you find what other extra activities he might have had. A big bank account, which would not match in terms of his earnings from the government. and also might have a difficulty to be able to answer, like the policewoman.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, and now let me just go back. Let me just pick up, piggyback a comment here from one of our viewers, and he from the Lozi Arts and Culture Association. I guess Mr. Danny is bringing his relatives along. We appreciate that, and they're saying we are following you. And Muto Zitwani Sha, and den. That's how my that's my answer. Am I correct in answering your relatives like that, Mr. Danny?
Yeah,
Isn't that how you?
my relatives are trying to communicate with me. That's another
Yes.
that's another discussion for the another topic. My
All
relatives
right. Oh, great. So
we are
now that, yeah, great. So that now leads us to the next topic. Um, and this one, Mr. Hamugoma, I'd like to really ride on your experience in this business. So I may have a lot of questions on that. So this week we saw Mupani getting officially 51%. Stake of the shares in that mine, and of course our Z what ZCCM will gets 49%, and we should be seeing 1.1 billion coming through with that announcement. So, as somebody who worked for Boss, maybe before we even talk about them getting the shares, let me ask you this. This is just a general question that I've always wondered, because the opposition have been in the forefront singing about this. So from the measures that the government took on either Mopani or KCM, did they have any other options to take on the two mines? Maybe let me just ask you this question, Mr. Hamilton.
What,
Do you think
what's the
we should
question?
have taken a different route
On what?
on both mines? We gave KCM back to Vendetta, and then we found IRSH, this company from Saudi Arabia, who has agreed to put in, to recapitalize, the party with $1.2 billion dollars. Did we have any other options on the table that we could have taken
Well, I mean,
besides
whatever
the?
options. Well, okay, let's start.
Mhm.
I think Mopani is easier to handle.
Okay.
That the state where we were, what is it that wasn't happening?
Hmm.
Production wasn't happening, right?
Hmm.
Because what we got, and that's the 100% ownership that we did, that 100% wasn't giving us the copper. So you keep your 100% and not getting the copper. Hello, what are you trying to do?
Hmm.
Right? So what has happened, and in terms of the arrangement, in terms of somebody coming in to give life and pay back, Glencore, that was
Hmm.
holding on in terms of whatever arrangements they made, that yes, is these United Arab Emirates guys, are they the right kind of people? They should have done
Hmm.
their due diligence, right? And if they don't perform, this is a contract.
Hmm.
There should be performance clauses into there.
Hmm.
And if they falter, then
Hmm.
you as the government, you as this SMIH, you have a leeway to try and bring them into line as quickly as you need to be able to do.
Hmm.
And, so for me is what we should be talking about, engaging into, is what are the parameters that are in place to ensure that if they falter, we get them before they sink the mine into something that doesn't work, right?
Mhm.
That in terms of mining, you need to be able, right? You can tell. If you give me the details on the mine, I should be able to tell you whether this mine is going to be there in 6 months' time.
Mhm.
You look at the right kind of statistics in terms of the production, you should be able to do.
Mhm.
So that's the only thing that really you have. And as to whether this guy is the one that bring the money or that guy, sorry, that's not the right kind of game to do. Yes,
Mhm.
51% is fine, but just make sure that you look at the parameters. Look at the right parameters in terms of production. Look at the
Okay.
exploration, look at the development,
Mhm.
look at the mining, and not just saying, oh, I've got 2 pounds of copper sitting on the table now. No, look a little
Mhm.
bit more. Right? By the time you get
Great.
the 1 pound of copper on the table, a lot has gone into it. And the day you haven't got that pound of copper on the table, that means 6 months down the road, things started shaping up. Mining
Great.
is not overnight. You guys, none of us are God. We have to work for it. So
Mhm.
in order to get a pound of copper on the table, it's a process. And make sure that you're looking at those processes, that they're doing what they're supposed to do. Then you can
Mhm.
have your pound on the table. So yes, you give somebody to do it, but that's the only thing that you can do to ensure that at the end of the day, you as Zambians do get value for those resources.
Great. What about
KCM,
KCM?
KCM is totally different, right?
Mhm.
That, in my honest opinion, was the route that the PF did on liquidation. Was that the right kind of move? And it's my opinion, based on my exposure, I'll
Mhm.
say it wasn't. Right? Did Vedanta do wrong things? From what everybody's saying, I think they did.
Mhm.
But you do not punish somebody for doing the wrong, something different. And, the guy has got a toothache and you go and start removing foot nails.
Mm.
Doesn't work.
Mhm.
Yeah, doing
You
the wrong
go and,
thing, yeah,
right.
as
So,
well.
yes, but there has been a lot that has happened, and that's why it has taken so long, right?
Mhm.
But you got a problem with the tooth, go see a dentist. Right? You got a problem with your leg, go see an orthopedic surgeon.
Mhm.
And I think we're getting back to where it's supposed to be, and hopefully we can do the right things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, great. All right. That's really a mouthful because the opposition, they are all singing the loudest, stating we can mine our own mines. We can use picks and shovels to do that. We
The question is really,
Mm.
are you able to get value in
Mhm.
terms of those resources?
Mhm.
And whether somebody's mining or whatever, is what value are you getting?
Mhm.
So I mean, yes, you can do it, you can do whatever, but if it's not done, though you're able to do it,
Mhm.
what value is it?
And
What's the value?
I had a question for you before you
Go
just
ahead, Mr.
conclude.
Dan.
I have no idea about the sector, but hearing from the opposition parties in Zambia, they have always been singing about this forgiveness. We are giving the tax havens and stuff like that. They are not paying tax and all that, especially Mwamba. I follow Mwamba's propaganda. He's one of those people that I always talked um, about tax havens we are giving to the mining companies. So I just wonder whether this is the same case or not. What do they really mean that we're being dribbled by these mining companies by them not paying tax? Is that true?
No, but what I mean, like I said, and you guys, you said no, you were not there in 1966, right? The thing is, these documents, right? These agreements that were done in 2000, that was not UPND, was it?
Okay.
Was it?
No.
UPND was nowhere near the government in 2000.
Okay.
Right? So, yes, sort of, it's the playing field. It says, if somebody is going to bring some money, right? How best do you ensure that you get your value into it? And what Manawasa did in 2006, where he had the windfall tax, which is the same, it's due the windfall tax, that's where you have the royalties. Now, the thing that you have to understand that in all mining domains is that the royal tax, mineral royalty, is treated as a production cost. Right? And I mean, every jurisdiction does it. Right? But, so it's not really giving them what is not applicable elsewhere. Right? What we didn't do is that we went into the windfall tax, we went into increase the mineral royalties, but we didn't have it in the as part of the production cost. So it's just doing the numbers and everything happens. And I think singing into it is that, wait a minute, these people that are singing about this, right? They were there, and there's nothing really fundamentally that has changed.
I know. Correct. You're correct.
So I
on
mean,
that one.
yes, I mean, the one tragedy that we have as Zambians, especially those of us that call themselves professionals, we like the veneer. We do not want substance. Right? Because if Mamba says what he says and he's saying it as a politician, I don't have a problem. But if he's saying it, that actually this is a fact, then come back and give it.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm not a politician, right? I've got enough on my plate, not to be one.
Well, just to add
But
on what you've said, big man,
I
you know,
am
mm,
proudly
mm,
Zambian,
mm,
and one thing that I say, and I said even when I came to work for KCM and worked for Mwani, worked for Lubambe, is that I'm Zambian first. And I have had an education that just makes me better. Right? And that doesn't, kind of change me in terms of what we're doing. The first thing is, how does it give benefit to us as Zambians? And those agreements, you look at them, that actually, if we did implement them, we wouldn't be where we are now. But we went to sleep. And that's how we found ourselves where we are. Like I said, earlier said, for you to get a pound of copper on the table, right, you have, we play it backwards. Right? It has come out of a refinery, or come out of a rich plant. Or if it's come out of a refinery, then it must have come out of the smelter. If it's out of the smelter, it must have gone in the concentrator. And the concentrator, that's where you decide whether this is leachable or is going into smelting. But to get it into the concentrator, you should have taken it up from underground or moved it up from the open pit. In order to get that ore, you must have done some explosives on it. And before you do that, you should have done some drilling. And before you do that, you should have known actually there's copper out there because you've done your exploration. Somewhere, if along the line you miss a step, then it affects what lands on the table. Right? So when the people decide they're going to put so much money to get that kind of copper, they know that all these processes are going to be able to deliver. Right? And if it's not delivered, that means somewhere along the way something has faltered. Did you have wrong data in terms of what kind of resources and reserves you had? Or is it just that there was some wastage in the process? No. We need to be a bit more serious, right, in terms of actually understanding where the system has failed. And you go and fix it.
I am so glad that Mr. Hamilton, you're here as a professional to really discuss with us in terms of the mining policy in Zambia and all these investments that are coming in, vis-a-vis what we're getting from the propagandists like Mr. Danny has stated here. Uh, the likes of Emmanuel Mamba. Now, before we proceed, let me bring in a new entrant. Uh, oh my goodness. I think there are some of them. The other one today doesn't want to talk. We understand. Machuvi United lost yesterday. But Mr. Kalapa, please, welcome to the party. Oh, is he just listening in? All right. Machuvi, you have a comment.
Yeah, that was a very good insight. That big man gave us when it comes to the mining sector, and he mentioned one funny thing. Like, look, they're complaining about the so-called tax incentives, the wind tax when it was introduced. When the PF was in the opposition at that point, they were saying when they come into power, they're going to get rid of it. Never did. Funny thing. So we all know how the PF works. They work on they say something, but they mean something else. So they never follow up on what they do. They don't stick to their guns, and you can tell that these are people that don't know what they're doing or don't understand these things. So now, I was listening to the minister, Mr. Msokotwani, when he was trying to explain about all this. He was saying, like, look, all the major mines were closing down when the UPND government came into power. They were all closing down. And the reason they were closing down, it was because Zambia itself had its own different kind of taxes that they were giving to these mining operations as compared to other countries. While other countries mining is booming, the same companies that are here in Zambia, they were trying to pull out. So he said, look, why don't we think and say, why are they trying to pull out? Okay, and then they discovered, and then they found out. They say, "Oh, look, other countries, this is how they're doing it. This is how they're doing it." So they came to the standards of other countries. That's all they did. So all these, machinations and all these things they're saying, oh, they're giving different tax incentives. No, no, no. We're just matching what other countries are doing, and Zambia is what Zambia current government is doing right now. So now you're seeing
Mhm.
all this boom back, and all these mineral mining companies coming back now. You know, everybody's coming back. Everybody's reinvesting. So, which is a good thing. So, we should not listen to propagandist Vayama Mwamba. He will say that, because that's his job. But true sense, even if they had to bring them back into power, they will still fumble the ball. They wouldn't do the things that the current government is doing to make sure that we reach to the type of targets that we want to reach. You know. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
All right, Mr. Johnny, did you have a little comment on what the
Um,
big man here is saying?
not really. It has cleared a lot of questions actually that I'm very ignorant on this subject, and it was good that she explained slowly. And I hope our brother there is. Are you a teacher by? Oh, did you teach in your career?
Oh, me?
Yes, because you
No,
explain things very, very clearly and
no.
slowly, and
The
which
the the
is
thing is, I told you that I think I did. I might not have said so. That I say I come from a panza. Basically, what I was saying is that I know how to look after cattle, feeding cattle.
okay.
Two, I said I went to St. Mark's, so I had some bit of education. My comprehension
Uh-huh.
is fine. And I went to the mines as a staff learner. So we were just learning a couple of things. And I went to university, and therefore I had the ability to be able to understand things and frame them.
Yeah.
So
No, your
basically, what I'm
explanations are
saying,
very clear.
I have and I studied mathematics, and mathematics is very easy. Either is A plus B is equal to 6, then they tell you B is a 3. What's A? You can do that. You have to,
Hmm.
right? And like into mining is all work is just a process.
Yeah.
And if you know what the processes are, you can check it and you can make improvements on it. And if it's not working, you know where to go and fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's all that there is. So after 40 years or 50 years, I think I haven't done badly. From
This is
74 to now, I haven't done badly. And if I don't know it by now, I'll never know.
yeah.
Great.
No, your explanation was very clear to everybody. And then definitely, I didn't realize that those steps in mining are very, very important. Every stage. And the people that have been explaining things to me, they've just been basically skipping and not really going into those very vital steps to make some of
Mm,
us understand. Now it's very clear to me. Very clear.
mm.
Yeah.
I mean, you see,
Anyway, yeah.
let me just tell you that in 2008, Wansha mine closed. Is that right?
Yes.
That it was the time, Rupiah Banda came in as president and Wansha was leaving. Okay?
Uh-huh.
You can't close a mine in 2 days.
All right.
The closing of the mine started happening 6 months before the actual time when the close was announced.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Msoton says, the mining companies were leaving. So what you do is you look, what exploration have they done? Very little. What kind of I mean, how much of the resources have they turned into reserves this year? Very little. So in terms of those reserves, how much ore have they done? Very little. Then, of course, as you go later on, that means there'll be no production at the end of the day.
So you can
Mhm.
see the signs of closure.
So you can see it.
Okay.
That you can see it. Anybody sitting in the Ministry of Mines as a mining engineer and getting all these annual reports should be able to see and says, wait a minute, where are we heading to?
Mhm.
So, yeah.
So let me just let me you know I let me just say this, asking for my uh, for my aunt in Shikatenda's village. This is my father's village. How do you see the mining industry uh, going forward? Are we moving in the right direction, or there are a few tweaks that we need to take before we get to the promised land?
Where is the promised land?
Where the government is getting revenues, I guess that reach, people are working, we're getting the taxes that we need to develop ourselves, and all those good things, and that they contribute to the basically to the larger, space in the economy that the mine has been doing in the past.
Are we heading in the right direction? I hope so.
Okay.
And like I said, it's more the monitoring
Hmm.
of what has been promised to be done
Hmm.
and to be able to know when you're off tangent.
Mhm.
I mean, these guys do the monthly productions and the monthly whatever, the quarter reports, and just like the shareholders, right, are
Hmm.
waiting at the end of the quarter that they will come and tell the board and says, hey guys, you are not performing at the end of the quarter. We
Hmm.
as the Zambian government shouldn't be waiting for 5 years to try and bring to book a mining company. Because at every stage of the way, we should know, says, this is what they promised us to be able to do. If they say they're going to bring $1 billion, right, they should be somewhere tempted and say, because if $1 billion dropped in Zambia today,
Hmm.
Zambia will become so difficult because the kwacha is going to appreciate so much because the dollars will be flying out of your noses and everywhere else. So that
All right, go ahead.
right. So what then you need to be able to be doing is that $1 billion that has been said is going to come. When is the first dollar coming? And when is the first million coming? When is such that at the end of time, you have $1 billion into your coffers. You need to have that plan. And from the government side is that month one has gone. Did I get my $20? No.
Hmm.
Where is it? I need it. Not to wait until I'm supposed to have 100 million. So I haven't got my 100 million. Then you have lost. You never get it. So a short interval management system is required in terms of evaluating that actually what they say they're going to do is being done.
Wow.
My take.
Wow,
Just on that,
that's
I think
perfect.
maybe I need to just come in because I was just trying to. I was watching the mining endeavor, I don't know if everybody else was watching that one. And
No.
I missed it.
Yeah.
yeah, so the president actually, gave a long speech, and he gave details on what kind of investments so far has been done. The first thing he mentioned was of course, the nickel mine,
Mhm.
Enterprise nickel mine, which is already online, and they've already invested 100 million. So that one is
Mhm.
already
The one that's gonna be second largest in Africa, is it?
No,
it should be the largest, actually.
The
should be the
largest.
largest.
Oh, okay.
The
Yeah.
largest.
Yeah, it will be the
Nickel,
largest. Yeah.
There's never been
nickel,
a huge nickel mine before like that. So it's going to be the largest. So 100 million.
and you know why?
Mhm.
The need for nickel wasn't there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he couldn't produce it. For what?
Okay.
It didn't make economic sense.
Yeah. But now it makes
And
economic sense.
I mean, you go
Yes.
on
People are
Munali
buying
Hills,
nickel like yesterday.
you go on Munali Hills there, they did a nickel mine. It ran into a bit of trouble because the price wasn't there.
Mm-mm.
But now the price is good and is promising. So nickel is going to go.
Yeah.
The
Nickel is going to
reserves
go
have been there. So the resources have been there. So you're
Mhm.
actually able to turn them
Mhm.
into cash. And
Actually,
that's
I
why.
was so surprised that nickel is fetching a higher market than copper.
Oh no, copper is it
It's the
doesn't.
edge right now, isn't it?
Copper is a finished. It's
No,
no
you know,
longer very useful
no,
in the
copper
world.
has been. I mean, copper has been less than a pound, less than $1 a pound at one time.
Uh-huh.
As you come in 2000, 2002.
Mhm.
And that's what gave the twist. So yes, copper is reasonably well, but
Because
it's
of
something that
electric has a component. Some of it is copper.
what you do is that at what level
Mhm.
does it make economic sense?
Mhm.
Right? And where it is now, it makes economic sense. People are going to make money, and
Mhm.
that's why they do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes,
It's $3.89 per pound right now for copper.
Yeah.
yeah.
So now,
So
so that was one thing, and then secondly, you mentioned about the investment on the KCM. You mentioned smelter, which is one of the processes in the mining industry. So a 1 billion is going to be invested in revamping the smelter there at KCM. And he also talked
no,
about,
no, it's not, it can't be 1 billion.
that's what he said.
No, the smelter wouldn't be a billion.
That's what he said. I mean, we can go back and
I
go
mean,
back and
he's the
watch it.
president, but all I'm just saying is that
Uh,
you look at $1 billion,
mhm,
right? And you're going to put it into a smelter.
mhm.
What kind of smelter is that going to be? Can you
I
look
don't
at
know.
other smelters?
Uh,
Hi, sorry, it doesn't.
so it's
I
too
mean,
little. Is that what you're saying?
no, $1 billion is not. It's too much for the smelter.
It's too much. Well, maybe it was a combination of both KCM and the smelter, but he mentioned the smelter and $1 billion.
No. KCM Vedanta is going to. I'm not so sure what the structuring is. The
Mhm,
Vedanta is putting in $1 billion into KCM,
mhm.
not into the smelter.
Not in the specific. Okay, so that will include the smelter as well.
That the smelter will be just a spin-off within that,
Oh, the
because
billion.
one of the problems that you have at KCM is that
Mm.
there's a lot of money that is owed
Okay.
to the suppliers and everybody else. That has
So
to
how
be
much do
paid.
you think a smelter should be?
I don't know, but not $1 billion.
Oh, now there goes the. Well, let's bring in Mr. Philip. I think he's ready
No, I
to
mean,
talk now.
if I
Mr.
don't have
Philip.
the detail, but I can tell you it's not $1 billion,
Mm,
because the Mopani did the smelter in Mufrida.
mhm,
KCM did a smelter, And the Chinese did a smelter, and those were not $1 billion. That's
Great.
all I'm saying.
All right.
Okay.
Well, that would be for, yeah, I think we can always find that information. But Mr.
Mhm.
Crawford, welcome to the podcast. Are you able to talk now? Oh, he's too shy. Mr. Johnny, any other comments that you have before we
Yeah,
move on?
I think I'm clear on that one, and I have a lot of hope that I think the copper belt is going to be revitalized with all these efforts that our government has done. Yeah, I'm really looking um, forward to seeing the region again come to life the way it used to be.
Mm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, and we want to see these results in the next,
Oh,
year or
definitely. Yeah,
two,
we need to
really,
see that.
because we've had a lot of pronouncement in terms of
Mm.
investments
Yeah.
coming in,
We
and
can also talk about the
that.
other guys that are coming on board, like Cobalt Metals, Barrick Gold. They also come. They're saying they're going to invest money. So all this money that they're saying they're going to invest, it's going to be a huge game changer. Cobalt Metals saying $150 million. Barrick Gold $2 billion for the Lufwanyama mine, which is going to be the largest. So all those things. I mean, then they're projecting 200 what 40,000 tons a year projection. 240,000. When you were at KCM, how many tons were you producing per year?
I think KCM it should have been, I think, 180,000.
About 180. So that was that time.
About that.
Mm.
I think
But
because
mm,
I know that the nameplate for the refinery is about 200,000 for
mhm,
nuclear. No, somewhere about 300,000 tons.
mhm.
So that's about 30,000, almost 30,000 a month.
Okay.
And there's a mine. He said it's being it was flooded, and they'll be pumping water out, and the process has started. He talked about something like that in that speech. You remember? Which mine
Yeah.
was that?
Yes, yes, yes.
There's a
Uh,
mine where they've started pumping
no,
the water out.
no.
Mhm.
What you have, I said in 2008, Wansha mine closed.
Oh, I think you're talking
And
about
then
this is chapter 23.
28, I think, 28 or
Something
29.
28.
like that.
So what you
Yeah.
do, right, when you close the mine, right, then you allow the water to come up because nobody's going, or you keep it dry. But usually you let the water, so you have to de-water,
Mm-hmm.
right, so that you're able to get back into production.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Okay.
so there's definitely something that happened there, and that's what I'm saying, that depending on what you're doing, that yes, the operations in Wansha are going to come back into life, and the 28 shaft and other places are going to be, and basically because mining at that level kind of makes business sense. Is if you can't make the cash, you can't make the money,
Mhm.
you don't go and invest.
Hmm.
So the better, the return, if you look at their papers and you look at what they've done, for people to be able to say you can put in this kind of money, there must be a return on it. There's no Mother Teresa's out there in the business. Forget it. They're not there.
Yeah.
Great. So let me bring in a new entrant who says he was at the mines in 2021. So let's maybe tap a little insight
Yep.
on what he what he found there. Mr. Chanda, because we are, please introduce yourself, where you are joining us from, and joining to the discussion.
Wow, thank you very much. I'm joining you from New Brunswick, Canada. That is where I,
Oh,
yeah.
what's been going on in Canada today, right,
Canada.
Lucia? What's going on? All right, go ahead.
It's a Canadian thing.
Yeah, but
I'm, uh, I'm
actually,
the one that woke him up. I'm the one who invited him.
Oh, thank you.
That's good. That's good.
yeah,
I
so
think we've had some interactions now because machine on our doctor's page
yeah,
before.
yeah.
Welcome.
I was a permanent secretary. First, I was labor commissioner.
Oh,
Uh,
great.
yeah,
How are you, sir?
I'm okay. I'm very okay. I was labor commissioner.
So you're in Canada now?
Yes, I'm in Canada actually. So
Okay. Welcome, sir.
yeah, so I was labor commissioner. Just a quick introduction, so that maybe others don't know me very well. So I'm Canadian trained, by the way. I was in Canada for 7 years, and I went back to Zambia. I was, in the Ministry of Labor. Then I went to National Prosecution Authority, where I worked as director HRA. Then I was taken back to the Ministry of Labor as labor commissioner, and then later when I was elevated to permanent secretary in the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Mhm.
So yeah, I happen to have quite a good take on the all the mines, because I think during the time that we had a bit of struggles around the mining, especially as much as labor was concerned, I
Mhm.
was leading a few teams there. The first team I led was to go and check on actually Kansanshi mine.
Mhm.
They had problems
Mhm.
there. Then I also led a team to go to KCM itself. Then I also led a team, my final assignment on Mopani. So that deal that you see about Mopani, I think I was part of the team, people that were in actually that.
Great.
Yeah. So, and how it all unfolded. So I was quite very active in terms of what was happening in the mine. And
Mhm.
what has been presented, I don't know who was presenting, and I don't know. But everything,
And Dr. Hamilton, he's a mining expert for
yeah,
that.
what he was saying is correct, actually. I liked the way he has been very much on spot, that, first of all, there are no Mother Teresa's in the mining industry. Everything that one is very true.
Mhm.
If people go in with serious money and they mean serious business, and they are not there for charity, so if you can't put your house in order, they have no problem running over you. They really have no problem. Yeah,
Mhm.
they really have no problem actually. And in fact, if your systems are weak, they just come and take over. And they change, they change like chameleons. They'll be in this position, they have changed in the other position. First of all, just to give you a quick synopsis in terms of what I received on my table as labor commissioner, especially maybe I would use the Mopani as a classical example.
Uh-huh.
Mopani was if you look at the documents that they gave the ministry in 2017, 2015, right there, they had
Mhm.
made the projections of the production to be by 2021. They were projecting it to about 800,000 tons, and they brought in a very good presentation. They convinced the government in terms of what they're going to do, their plan, their capital investment in the mine, what is going to be the effect on the labor relations, what was it going to affect in terms of infrastructure in the mine, corporate social responsibility, and everything. They actually had a
Mhm.
very good case, and at that point in time they said, we're mechanizing, and one of the things we're investing in is the smelter. So one day he said that there's no smelter for 1 billion. I definitely agree, because I inspected the new smelter for Mopani, and all they needed was about $100 million to just get it running and everything else. So that was something I definitely agree with that. So they changed the goalpost. After they retrenched almost 5,000 workers, they said we're mechanizing. They brought in experts. Experts came in, and you know what happened? The experts came in. They used um, very sophisticated financial, gymnastics that we couldn't catch as the countries at the time. One of which was they brought in equipment. They know that maybe to do 5 meters, or maybe they're gonna do maybe 100 meters of digging. They brought in maybe where they need one U-grit or whatever drilling equipment that they are looking out for. They will bring in 3 and place a depreciation value to 0 in 5 years. So they'll bring maybe 2, 3. And then when that is depreciation value sitting on their books, they take it out, they get it. The same guys go in, set a company. Employees actually of the mine, they set a company based in South Africa, they become suppliers, and they start, shortcutting. They had seen how our legal framework was sitting, so they kind of moved in very quickly. And by the time we were coming to realize it, it was too late. That is why you see that care and maintenance, like he has said, there is no mine that can close in one day. And I definitely agree with you. There is no, when you see a mine say we are closing, it didn't start that day. That is what they wanted to do on us. And I was raising the same question that when they announced, it was a day before, I think a Friday. A Friday, they could call us and say, oh, we are putting a mine on care and maintenance. I say, excuse me, when did you decide this? And then where are you going to take 7,000 people that are working on the mine? And then you had the chance to discuss with the trade unions to understand how this is going to affect the workers, what you're going to pay. They say, no. I said, but you cannot proceed without all those things put in place. If you want to proceed, no one says you can't. But you cannot just wake up and close the mine. There's no mine that closes that way. Fights we there, we ended up, scaring them up to say, if you close the mine, we're gonna lock you up. And I think I didn't miss my word when the general manager announced the closure the next day. He was reported. I reported him to police for failure to follow my instruction as a public officer. And I ordered that he get his passport so that we can have a conversation. The moment I did that, he wanted to sneak out of the country, and he was arrested at the airport, taken back. I went to meet him. What did you want to do? Why did you want to run? If you were clear with what you wanted to, why should you run away? So the issue was now, politics came in. That one I must accept. Politics came in. The owners of the mine were busy pleading with government. We changed things. Okay, if you want to go, we don't have a problem, but we need a substantive person to run the mine. That is how Charles Sakanya was appointed to actually run the mine, Mopan, the one who is currently there. And this power moved to him. So, but then the question was, how can we pull this one up and be the owners of this mine? That is why you see that we were negotiating that deal from a weak point of view. We were not strong at the time because of the legal framework that you see, which was going on in the KCM. So for Mopani, we said, look, let's have a different view here. And even if it might cost us a little bit, but ownership is better than sending it into the hands of the foreigners and stuff like that. And then we are looking at how can we structure something. The best brains in terms of mining negotiations were gotten after it was an expatriate a group from France that came to actually sit with ZCMH and negotiate the best deal that we could ever get from Glencore. And that is how Glencore gave away the shareholding. So things moved in that direction. It wasn't the perfect thing to do, but I think that was the start point. So what you saw was the start point, but there were details of other things that I'm obliged not to say them. I'm kind of like restricted until maybe a certain time of the time, to run into that. But that information, government is sitting with it right now. They know about that. They know exactly, because for me, when I was leaving, I sat the minister down and they actually ran her through complete handover of everything at the ministry level, where we were at with the laws, where we were at with the mines, what challenges were going to come up with the mines, where we saw what could be done, guidance given and stuff like that. So that's what happened. And then, we were fired. Yeah, even if we didn't expect it, but it happened because there was a lot of confidence that was given by government, especially the president, when he said, I will not just wake up and just jack people for the sake of jacking people. I will have to evaluate each one of you guys and see what value you're adding. And if I don't see that people are going to have value, then I can look at that and then probably let you go and stuff like that. So there was a lot of confidence around it. But then one day, you're just waking up, heading to the office. You are home Friday evening, you see the person actually you are fired without even a letter coming in and stuff like that. Most people just took off with information they never handed over and stuff like that. So
Wow.
part of the things that you are seeing are things that information is there, but at times they don't just have access to it in the right format, because maybe people are too scared to say, if I say, I'll be looked at it from a different point of view. But
Mhm.
yeah, so after that, then I moved to Canada, and that is what has happened. But there's a lot. It can be another day of just experience. What am I? When the Masha mine closed, you remember also there's Chambishi mine, which was closed there near the opposite Chambishi smelter, which was talking to here. There were people who were. They closed the mine and people were paid off and stuff like that. They want to rejuvenate that. The Luasha mine, I've been there. I went to meet the workers there. Yeah, it was a sorry sight, and I hope maybe something has been done. I have very little information around it, other than mostly on the care and maintenance part of it, which was there. And that is what Dan was making reference to, that it was something that was flooded. Yeah, that was the mine actually, which was flooded and needs to be pumped, the water to be pumped out. So in a nutshell, that is what I say. But I'm very much happy with the conversation.
Nice. Just on that one, I think it's China non-ferrous mines that has invested in that shaft.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to invest 1.3 billion
Okay.
and an extra 600 million in the shaft itself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that would be great if they can. And the only thing that I realize is that for the mining investment and the people that are coming, we really have care at entry level.
Mhm.
At entry level is where we have a lot of control. Once they set in, we don't have control. They usually are gone. They become loose cannons. They connive. They pay off politicians very easily. Actually, they do very well. And you find that it's very. You have to be very tough. You have to be very tough to get the people. Yeah.
Machine, are you admitting to something?
Yes, I'm admitting to something. I'm telling you, because you see, if, for instance, let me give an example of Kansashi. Kansashi I was a commissioner, and we went there because they wanted also to retrench about 2,000 Zambians. So I said, hey, excuse me, how are you retrenching? Let's see how they raised issues to say operation cost. I said, okay, so operation cost, what has got to do with labor? Can you show me that labor is also pushing operation cost up and see how this can be reduced? Then I discovered to say, these guys, 160 of them, were getting more money than 7,000 Zambians put together. Yes.
So they're paying themselves hefty money.
Exactly. So that the cost, when you look at the labor cost, is pushed up by 160 people. I said, if you cut 50 out of this, you don't need to touch any Zambian here. Because you find that the list was being paid almost like $8,000. Those are people that are cooking. $8,000 a month. And then the highest paid was almost like $35,000, $40,000. And you see, and the Zambian workers were paid like $200. So I was like, wait a minute, this is absurd. It doesn't make sense. Then the guy gives me wrong false information as well. He was charging. First I said, can I have a view of your pay structure and the details of who you are paying and what you are paying. They bring a pay structure with an employer deduction on the workers, which was like skills fees paid by the employer. They put on the workers. So I said, hey, wait a minute, this is an employer's.
They're charging them?
Yes, I said, no, I said, this is an employer's deduction. They said, no, we made an error. So they go and bring now another pay sheet, which now they remove skills and they remove NAPS. So I'm like, but then who pays NAPS? Until I said, okay, can I have the actual payroll? So when I got the actual payroll, then I discovered to say, one, the expatriates are even paying. There was no contribution to NAPSA. The employer was paying both the employees' contribution and the employer's contribution for the expatriates, and not for the Zambians. And then
Serious?
Oh yes. And then secondly, I say, but why are you paying this? You are giving me false information. Now this is in a debrief. The guy says, oh, well, I've told you can do what you want. I'm like, what did you say? And that was the general manager saying, I said, you cannot tell me that. You want me to do what I want? Okay. The meeting is done. I was leading a team of 15 different government departments. I said, the meeting is done. Guys, let's go. I just went to police, reported him. 15 hours, they picked him up. He was now, this is now, I was like to tell you, we were going to do something. He is the guy who is wrong, is picked up, and someone in the province intervenes and says he can't be locked up. And
Why
I'm like,
not?
wait a minute, why not? This is not special. If it is a Zambian, no, we know, first let's keep him in my office until we get further instructions. We will be fired. Well, sometime, So some of those things happen. They had to get involved, they brought in the police, whatever, they hired, what. The guy was released at around 02. So these are some of the things that are very real when other factors move into this situations like that. Yeah. So Machina, it's not that it is a dice one. You have to be very fair. I saved the 2,500 jobs in Solwezi that time, and I can assure you that day, if I stood for member of parliament in Solwezi, I would have won. I was the most famous person in Solwezi because I did what nobody ever even thought that the general manager would be arrested by a government official. But then the goodness is that they complied. They withdrew the letter of redundancy from all the workers, and they said we're going to sit down and talk. And I said that's the way it is. You can't just wake up and do these things. We don't want to be overly involved in the running of affairs because that is not good for business. Business we should not be disruptive to the business processes. We must be able to support the business processes so that job creation is there. Value addition is there. That is what we are looking out for. But when you want to make shortcuts like that, it doesn't work out. And then we realize that, it is the same guys that wanted to get that money and throw it into their bonus system. So it is quite interesting.
So it was just a matter
Wow.
of, they trying to cut off the Zambian workers so that they can get more money.
Exactly.
Wow.
Where are the labor
Decently
laws? Where
selfish.
are the labor laws? Where are the labor laws?
This is you see, the only reason why that happened, that is why the Employment Code Act of 2019 was very much moved, because certain gaps were not there. Number one, in the former law, Cap 268, which was lastly done in 1964, can you believe? We had the 1964 law. So we had to modernize the law. Number one, equal pay for equal work of equal value. That those things were placed in. Non-discrimination, making sure that now we create a monitoring mechanism of the work permits. We created now a system of checking the actual pay. We created a system of approvals for most of the things, even actually stopping the redundancy from happening. It wasn't there in the law. So you find that certain things you had to rely on different laws and probably the arrogance of government, and then you kind of stop them. But that was not sufficient. So we changed the law. Right now, the law has been very, very favorable for the Zambia, but it's not implemented. And the reason why is that the Ministry of Labor is not properly financed. It's not properly structured right now. We left a structure that created advisory committees. Like, for instance, in the Act itself, there's what is called Labor Advisory Committee, which is now tripartite, which has the workers and other governments put in there, other sectors like Chamber of Commerce, Chamber of Mines, and stuff like that. We want them to be part of the structure so that they are not caught off guard and they complain to say, we are not consulted. So you create a consultative system such that when you're changing things, they shouldn't just be surprises over there. So we created that system over, and then we created, there's no law that should change without consultation. That other time government will just wake up and make the laws like that. But we created that system and making sure that it is structured. But it is a failure to implement. I'm telling you right now, what you see in the labor industry is the failure to implement, because it is very inadequately structured, very inadequately financed. I had to use a lot of aggressive kind of arrangement, even to government, to give me money. If they don't give money, I go make noise and tell them off and stuff like that. Who are you trying to save? And I was very, very clear. The only thing I can also, for me, when I was working, I would tell you, I never, not even one day, got any interference from State House. Nobody ever interfered. I went and closed some of the people who were financing even the party itself. I went and closed their company. and he told them to go to hell until they comply, and they complied, did a lot of good things for Zambia. So it's a question of when you address it, but you know how many people can do that. So it's really a challenge. Government needs to step up and just see at a very high level in terms of how they can protect the Zambian workers, the Zambian labor market systems, and also raise the profile of the miners in these investments that will be coming.
Maybe we don't.
Fantastic.
Maybe we
What a
don't. Sorry,
profound
Matalinda. One last.
discussion. No, Latenda, before you come in,
Okay.
let's tap into, I think, our other experts who started this discussion have something to say. Mr. Haboboma, you want to come in before Latenda comes in?
Vatanda.
Mugwai.
Vatanda va commissioner.
Mugwai.
Ninevo ha mukoma tata.
Wow, Mukoma. Wow. Maringi Mabwino Mahamukoma. That is very
Ah, mari kisabu no naimwe bene vatanda.
sad. That's sad. I'm very, very happy that you're on the forum.
Where did you people meet in Zambia?
Yes.
We worked.
No.
I mean, I worked in Zambia. I work in Zambia. I
Yeah.
do lots of. Like I said, that from 1974 to now, I've been associated with the mines.
Yeah.
And when he was commissioner, we dealt
Yes.
with each other. Right. And like he rightly says, that our failure as a country is implementation and the willingness
Yes.
to go ahead and enforce the agreements that we have in place. That's where it falls. Right? That to say no, these guys are like this. These guys, they came. When they came, they're not like this. They become like this because we've let them be, and we haven't done our part. That when
Great.
you look at
Which is what I like about our current mines minister, because he has been singing on that for the longest time, even when the opposition say otherwise. But that's all I wanted to say. In fact, I just wanted to remind everybody, this technically is an hour podcast, but we're hitting 2 hours. So maybe I'm going to give 10 minutes, Latanda. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up. Anyway, I just wanted to point out one thing. Maybe my concern is if we don't have a strong labor system in place, and is it the ministry itself? Is it the minister itself? Don't we have somebody with an iron fist that can step down to all these investors when they come in? Because we've seen it not only in the mines, everywhere else where our workers have been mistreated and paid lowly than any human being. Like like surely they come in and they make hefty money, they pay themselves huge amounts of money. An expatriate, when they come in, they get paid huge amounts of money. But the indigenous Zambians, they walk away with scraps, and then they're the ones that are actually doing the actual job. It just hurts me, because one time I was working for a certain company, an expatriate came all the way from India, and I had to teach him the job, but he was being paid housing allowance, living in Kabulonga with a car and everything. And me, I was just walking away with scraps. So these are the stories that we hear in Zambia every day. What is it that's wrong with the ministry? What is it wrong? This, you can never find it here in Canada, I'm telling you. You can never, ever find something like this happening. There's no way somebody from outside the country come here and be paid more than a Canadian. Impossible.
no, you see, I think the commissioner, right? I think, let's be real, colleagues, right? That we as Zambians have failed to regulate, even where we have agreements. We have failed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at the development agreements, the commissioner is there, that there are commissions that are supposed to have been set. They're there on paper, but they haven't been put into effect. So, I mean, at that time, who are you holding being responsible for the outcomes? We have let over time. And I mean, in the time when I started doing a real job, which was in 78, looking at the number of expatriates that we had then in the mining industry and the ones that we have now is night and day. However, right, again, sort of people, we don't want to read, we think a newspaper is the one that gives you the history. No. Right? That, half the experts in HR do not understand how the jobs got defragmented after 1966 in order to ensure that Zambianization occurred. Now, after you've had ZIT and you have had all these craft colleges and everything else, and the University of Zambia, the skill levels are better in the mining industry. But the structures, some of them are still reflective in terms of where you were. That
60 years ago.
Yeah, in terms of supervision, how many people was somebody supposed to supervise? We still go back because we thought that, you didn't have, as a Zambian, you didn't have the capacity to be able to manage. So you ended up fragmenting the jobs and you don't give the person a full job. So yes, there are certain things that we need to be able to do. And I mean, I don't know how the government gets their funding in terms of empowering the Ministry of Labor to do the inspections that they need to do, right? And not that he's here, and I was knocked off at a time when I was getting into something exciting about confronting the experts in one of the mining companies. Then I got knocked off. But one thing that Commissioner did, and I hope he said it, right, is that once you do an intervention from the government side and you say, hey, here's the line you're not supposed to cross, these guys do manage to come back. It's not that they don't know what's supposed to be done, but they're doing it because nobody's looking.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody's
Well,
looking.
Commissioner, you want to come in at this point?
Yeah, I would want to come in because what he has said is very true. You see, during my life as commissioner, I saw those things happen more. It's ask twice as much, you may surprise yourself get it. That is the same system that the Chinese use. That's the same system that any other person uses. They will pretend like they don't know. And when they pretend and they get away with it, then they just start to consolidate that.
Becomes
So
normal.
when you come and stop what they are doing, you are first of all they get shocked that someone can come and stop them. That you get shocked. By the way, not that Mahamkoma is here. Mahamkoma, when he was actually leading the consultative process for Lubambe mine, I never to date, I would be lying if I say there was a problem that came from that mine as a result of issues to do with labor. Anywhere where he touched and did the guidance, until when he is not there, that is when you are going to see the recurrence of these problems and stuff. Shortcuts starts to come in, they start to seep in. And I always told him, I think he's saying, where are you? How dare you ask, where are you? Then he said, oh, no, I'm doing something else. It is the lack of people like him to sit in strategic places where we cannot be cheated about how a mine is run. Right now, you find that people like him are outside the system. But that is the one we would want there, because I know that if I pick up a phone and say, what is happening on this mine? Why have you seen what have these people done to you? You know, he will be like, okay, wait a minute, I'm coming back to you. And when he speaks, they will listen. The mines are very good at knowing the skill set of each and every person they deal with. They would know this person can only know up to here, and beyond here is lost. So they will take him up to that point, and then where he's lost, they don't care because they know he will not. So this thing that you see, so what?
Gentlemen, this has been a very interesting discussion. We have learned a lot.
Yeah,
and hopefully we will definitely see you on this podcast while we explore more on these issues surrounding the mining and the investments and everything else in between. So at this juncture, this is where we have our runs. And unfortunately, some people decided not to speak. Right on. You want to start the run before we shut down the show today.
Yeah, well, it's our Premier League rant, of course. We're forever Arsenal, forever, the Gunners. Again, we shocked everybody. We come out with 4 goals to 1 against. So we are on course. Namagoza you're not gonna know who's gonna score. Like you don't know you don't even know where the goal is gonna come from. Everybody's scoring now. So this was another good weekend. 3 weekends in a row, scoring good numbers and bringing our score game up there. And yeah.
As you can see, Matsubi United in the names of Francis Conde, the man behind everything in the background here. He decided, he came in, he said, no, today I'm just listening in. He has no words. That character has been
I wouldn't blame him.
in the background. They had a shot yesterday. Fulham. Was it Fulham? Yes, Fulham. And the former Arsenal player shut them down.
This one I have to talk. Don't embarrass Man United. Warming the seats. We know you. Don't worry. Very soon you start covering your faces.
Rebranding has gone wrong.
How far can you go? How far can you go? We know you. Yeah, very good. Yeah,
the sooner you accept, the better.
Can I jump in there, please? Because somebody has talked about my team yesterday being beaten by Arsenal. I'm Newcastle. And that doesn't augur well with me, because I know that some of these teams called Gunners are just placeholders anyway. They have done this before. They have held these positions that towards the end they never get a cup.
Thank you.
So, but where are you, Newcastle? Where are you on the table? Where have you been?
It doesn't matter.
You're nowhere near top 5.
It doesn't matter. But what I'm trying to say here is, if you are not going to get a cup, we're not going to get a cup. We're in the same boat. So we have seen you lead the table for 26 weeks. You're on top of the table. 26 weeks.
Not.
And after that, you don't even go empty-handed. So we are used to you being placeholders anyway.
Yeah. And for them, it hits more.
If I want to, they're scouting for players, they look at the top 3 teams. They're not going to go to the bottom feed to look for players. The amount of money that the club makes, it depends on the value of the players. Mahmoud. So it matters to be
What
on the
matters is winning the cup. If you're gonna be home,
this is the year we do it. This is the year we do it. Just watch us.
nowhere. The press orders, Arsenal press
Let's put
orders.
in our final thoughts, Rene. Let's shut it down. Somebody has to be another. To go grocery shopping.
Do you have a new entrant?
Do you know that Conca Lake? They have research Conca been in and out.
Oh.
Yeah. So Newcastle had to come in and speak for Newcastle at number 9. Yeah.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I know you guys have been talking soccer and stuff. I used to be a Man U fan, but I'm no longer follow European soccer, so I don't know where you guys are and what's going on. So I just kept quiet and just listened to. And I thought maybe when I come back next time, I find the conversation is over by soccer. Then I come back, it's still on. So is the whole good just stuff done, or are we still going on to matters that matter?
Whoa, we are 2 hours late.
We are closing the show.
Yeah, I know.
We are 2 hours late.
2 hours.
I'm late to the show. I totally understand that. I think
we are 2 hours late.
Yeah,
make sure next week you're here.
Next week.
I'll definitely join next week. I appreciate that.
Yeah, early.
Well, so let me ask you a question before I go. I just want to understand this UKWA. I think it's UKWA or IKWA, whatever that new party that Edgar Chagwalungu and the group are in. Now, is that a disintegration of the APF, or is it just another new thing coming up? Looks like most PF, people that were there are kind of gravitating towards that. In my opinion, in a way, they've admitted that Mao Sampa is now the man to carry the helm of the PF, and those that are not are now the UKWA people. Is that my understanding correct, or how are we doing there? I'm not sure.
UKWA is supposed to be an alliance of parties working together.
Okay.
So the faction being headed by Edgar Lungu is into UKWA now. So I think Edgar Lungu just is grouping all these small parties together so they can help him propel into the president. That's the way I look at it.
Okay, that's okay. So does Edgar Lungu still represent PF?
Edgar Lungu doesn't represent anything. It doesn't have the legal backing. It doesn't have the.
That conversation is very interesting.
I forgot that not to know Chanda Pano. But Machanda, you have to explain to us.
Yes.
But PF now is a 2 PF.
Right.
Kuliba Mao Sampa na PF Imbi. And then kulina UKWA nomba alliance party. UKWA, whatever it's called. It doesn't even make sense. The title itself is Quanta Alliance. Really? Can you come up with something better?
For something about that. Yeah. You see, the fact of the matter, even if we put Zambia at the height of these serious political issues, and when you see Mao Sampa, they have a structure. He doesn't have structure to say, okay, this is where he can rely on to galvanize people within PF and support him. He has taken the West America and the ground. Surely you can pick those and say there are political parties.
And I just saw those videos. They're trying to blackmail him or something.
No, those boys, I know them. They are in Kasama where the camp is. Yeah, they don't have only not the 5. They didn't drop out those. Everyone I will let you know that the people that are going to represent you. Seriously. So you find that Mao Sampa, the ECL, ECL, there is something that he had done 2 times, and I think on occasions that I've spoken about it, I see this is my personal view. It has nothing to do with how they feel about it, but this is just my personal view and how I think, what has caused him to get back into the political systems. I think he was mistreated. You know, a president, a former president, when you have been near a president,
We
it
got an
is
echo.
very
Somebody mute the mic. We
okay.
got an echo.
Okay. Can I go ahead now? So when you have been near, but there's an echo. No. Nibanan. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, it's gone.
Go ahead.
So when you have been near the president and you see the power and the reach that the president has, it is not easy to be president, number one. And number two, it is not easy when a former president, throws himself back in political system to just like knock him out like, oh, it doesn't matter. It is not easy. And I say it with the utmost respect, right? If President Edgar Lungu was left to be his own person, his own former president, with his mistakes, and then he correct them and move on, we would not.
Mm-hmm.
Mwaputuka.
Vaputuka.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Mpwau mfano mbalandeni.
Bamashila mwambo kula mputula.
Well, something happened with the network. Go ahead.
We accept every view here. That's why this platform is here.
I know, I'm just pulling your leg. So,
London Chirikumutima, are you saying he's the right president? He should come back 2026 or what?
Me, I'll go with what I said. Yeah, you know, he said anyone can be. So it might be him, it might be another person from the alliance who might be supported to actually come there. That's what he
What about you? What do you think? Should he come back?
Right now, as things stand, I don't see an alternative with others. Of course, if he was treated right, I would rather he's not there. But if he's mistreated, I would do the same thing like that.
So simple terms, you're telling us that there's no person in the whole lot of PF.
Eh?
I have this discussion every day with Chanda.
We have been
me and Chanda, we always debate about this, and he thinks we are opposite poles of the battery. He's positive and negative. So the truth of the matter is that Edgar Chagwa Lungu saved the nation. Thank you very much. He led us, and he did what he could. And it's time for him to just rest and enjoy his retirement. That's my personal view.
That's what I think as well.
That's how I think as well.
That's what I think.
Let me just enjoy his benefit, please.
Even myself, I have been thinking like that. But the point is that, has he been allowed to be that statesman?
But they're not.
Yes, he hasn't allowed himself to be that. He hasn't allowed himself to be the statesman that we wanted him to be.
Now let me
behavior.
Let me first remind you. Like before the behavior started, here is the run-up of things. Number one, you lose an election, you concede, you hand over. I was in that stadium during the handover. I was there, seated in the VIP. Everyone booed. The entire stadium was booing Edgar Lungu.
That's all.
It was very embarrassing. We felt bad. Some of us had to say, okay, this is not how we should treat a president who has lost an election. Okay, we passed that. What was the next step? The next step is that he writes a letter. Mamona, I want to be a statesman. What happened? My months young. 3 months. He was asked again after 3 months. Even a president, when he went for the change, there is a call that people want you to get back. Who even said, I have told you what I want. What was
Let me just interject chime in there for a moment. Do you know that in those 3 months that Edgar Lungu was sitting in Suzu's house, do you know that he was conducting meetings
Yes, I know.
at his house?
Yes,
So,
and I
I mean,
know.
how does that all go on with with the statement that I've given
I
out
Much.
now?
even
Elon, I'm
disclose
a
something
statement
I've not
if
told
I'm a
anyone.
statement if they were not happy,
Ruben,
like you
I
come, they
was
ask you a
me.
question.
I don't want to go anywhere near me myself. I was in that house. I went to that house to visit him. Me, not anyone else. So I remember meetings with them, and yes, they were there. But then, what was the kind of outcomes? And what were people saying? Abantu barefu ahead he was refusing. And the government, the current government, did not bank on it to say, okay, isolate you as the former president. When I conduct a meeting, guys, that is when we started to work on him. Now, what happened was the next thing. What was cut a grinder of Corona that now we work on. Those things started to get agitation from the people that respect what was with him. The issue,
The
yes,
person who actually came out with that, you know,
they can
you
hear
know,
everything. And I'm telling you in all honesty. Now,
yeah.
even our current president, HH, who is there, and I've told this to Dan, anyone who is going to go, me personally, anyone who is going to go after our HH when he's left the office, he will be wasting his time. There's a lot of things that the current president is, even at times, not aware it is happening because of the level of sophistication of the people that go into surrounding the state house. Would you blame that on HH? Would you blame that on the president? There are things that happen which the president has no idea. He comes to learn, and some of those things you cannot throw them on the president. And
The difference is that when he comes to know about those things, he acts on them. Precisely. As opposed to what was happening in the
I'm
PF
telling
era
you,
for 7 years.
can tell you, it is very difficult when the president is in that scenario to act. I'm telling you, it is difficult because at times he has more than 100 sources of information on the same thing, and they get confused, and they get isolated, and they get this. Look at just my current president. I feel pity about it. I feel pity. Uyo minister aishapi. Aya sende twende the cash wa mwikata after resign. Abantu walepunda mwikate. Maybe some people are saying, you know what I mean? Maybe this support which came even went to support some people who were in hospitals, some people who were in this. There's a lot of things that happen. So the more we can blame presidents and see them as budget, we need to protect the presidency. If we don't protect the presidency, we will not have a political stability in politics. I'm telling you, the president HH right now, he needs protection from even us that he fired. We
All
must protect him.
right, Rachanda. Please come back next week. We have to end this show. It's two
Yes.
hours, 27 minutes. Uh, so on that note, I'll give everybody 30 seconds to gather their thoughts and show their final views to our viewers. We will start with, let's start with Rakalanta, if he can speak. If not, we'll go to Mr. Hamagoma, and then Mr. Jigonka, Mr. Mr. Danny, and the commissioner, then Rachel's here, and I'll be the final one. In that order, let's start. All right, Mr. Kalapa is
Yeah, I
not
was
there.
number two.
Yeah,
I was
number two, go.
oh, number two. No, well, thanks. I mean, like I said, what we need to be able to do, I think at times to pause and prepare and then go. I think we have most, I think, as experts in whatever we do,
we've just rushed in and not actually understood what's supposed to be done. And once we have the agreements, we should be able to monitor to ensure that we do our part, which is to ensure that the other people are doing their part. And before it becomes too late, we get them back to line. Let's have the courage to do so. Then Zambia will be better.
Great. Next up, Mr. Danny. All right.
Is that me?
Yes.
Oh, me. Oh, all right. Yeah, I agree with my brother there. What he has said, we need checks and balances that has to be instituted. That have to be instituted as soon as possible, not wait for 4 or 5 years before we start talking about it. The other thing that I also want us to, as a country, what I want to see is a level of deliberate moves that we would encourage us Zambians to run our economy. I'm so disappointed that when I go to my country, all the big businesses are run by foreigners. I've been to certain countries around the world where most businesses are run by the indigenous people. But I go to Zambia, every supermarket is run by foreigner, every big manufacturing plant is run by foreigner, not even one is run by a Zambian. It really disheartens me. And I hope our governments should deliberately encourage locals to run these businesses by giving them even take risks on your citizens, even if they don't have collateral. Give them $5 million. Just see, you can lose a $5 million. Give one $5 million to somebody and see how they run it with a business. But yeah, our country is all in the hands of foreigners, and I don't like it. Thank you.
Great. Commissioner Chanda, 30 seconds.
So thank you very much, and I think I agree with what Daniel said. We just need to work around that and make sure that we get the locals to participate as much as possible and get probably leadership right, especially people like Mr. Hankoma. There has to be a way of getting people like him to make sure that they play the advisory role to government in terms of how we can work and get the benefits out of the mine. And I think otherwise, I'm very appreciative. Thank you.
Oh, great. BantuTV.
I thought it was going to be Vachanda Machina first and then me.
No, ndakalira commissioner. Much
Oh.
questa. Are you looking at the Premier League table? They just changed.
So in a nutshell, I think it's been a wonderful program. It's a healthy discussions, and I've always encouraged people to come in, despite of your thoughts, your views. Let's share ideas. Let's consult each other, and bring. At the end of the day, we're all Zambians. It doesn't matter if you're blue, green, or white, or whatever it is. We're all Zambians, and we love our country, and we want ourselves to be able to communicate, share ideas, and effort crash paper every weekend. If you want to come in, just come in. We've got no qualms, and for the most part, I think we're heading in the right direction. The president is doing the great things, and it's a lost cause. That is not something to be entertained. And they're just waffling here and there, and there's nobody that's really significant. Walungu should just go and do some fish farming. That's what he loves to do. That's what he should do. Chapwa.
All right. I'm so sorry. All right. As for me, until next weekend, keep the faith. We'll be right here next week. BantuTV people share and keep subscribing to our channels. Oh, by the way, I need to mention that all those people that came through YouTube, we appreciate you your viewership as well. Other than that, people have a great weekend. We see you next week. And Zambian should follow Polo, the big journal last week. So congratulations there. Hopefully more good news next Friday. All right, just for that, we are
Thank you.